Is privilege a badge of shame or is it a badge of honor? Everyone's talking about privilege. Do you know I have white privilege because I'm white? I'd love to think that I have intelligence privilege because I have some intelligence. The reality is that privilege as a badge of shame is one of the most destructive things we can do to society and to humanity. To actually shame people for who they are inherently, the way they were born to be. Are you going to tell me that someone should feel bad that this is who they are? At the same time, I would say it's not a badge of honor. A badge of honor is a badge of arrogance. And possibly a large part of what is creating this whole conversation about privilege has to do with the fact that many people carry their privilege as a badge of honor. What it all really is a badge of obligation. That's what it is. The thing is, when you live in a world where you believe that everything is random and just circumstantial, one person was born this way, one person was born that way, one person is gifted this way, one person is gifted that way, and it's not fear. It's not fear, as if life is fear, and we're going to try and force it to be fear, which will never, ever happen. But when we live in that world, we suffer a lot because we're victims of circumstances that are completely out of our control, and there's no way we're going to change it. We're not going to take a highly intelligent person and make them unintelligent. And we're not going to make a very unintelligent person a highly intelligent. We're not making black people white and white people black. It's not happening. It's not changing. But this is one of the great gifts of living a life where we believe in God, where there is a creator, where everything was designed with purpose. And the fact that I was designed to have this privilege and you were designed to have that privilege, because everyone is privileged in multiple ways. That actually is God speaking to the very purpose of what we're doing here and what my unique purpose is. And that's where fulfillment of life comes from. The most violating thing we can do is go to a person and tell them, be ashamed of your privilege. It strips away from them the entire dignity, value, and purpose that they have in this world. It's tragic. It's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. It's an absolute travesty. We should be celebrating the privilege that everyone has and teaching and demonstrating to people that this is an obligation that you're expected to live up to. Raise people up. Encourage people to live to their very best, to their very highest self, their very deepest self. Every one of us has a unique fingerprint. Every human being, we use fingerprints to identify people individually. God designed every one of us distinctly, uniquely. Every snowflake is distinct and unique. Every leaf on a tree is distinct and unique. This is the way God designed the world, because this actually speaks to who we are and the direction we are supposed to take. If you're not artistic, you don't have good hands, don't become a painter. Don't become an artist. And don't try fixing things. That's not your calling. That doesn't make you inferior. It actually narrows the clarity of what you should be focusing on, whatever that privilege is that you have. And if someone's gifted with artistry, they have amazing fingers that can run over a guitar board or a violin and produce music like few other people can, that's their privilege and their obligation. It's not a badge of shame, and it's not a badge of honor. It's a badge of duty. This is the person's calling. I believe that actually the greatest shame that we live with as human beings inherently and deeply is the shame that we are not living up to our highest self, that we're not living up to our privilege. And at the core of it, when we pull people down to mediocrity with this privileged shame, we are actually keeping people in a very, very shameful state where no one feels honor from. And the only thing a person can do in shame is bring other people down with them. And that's what's going on in our society. And that's why I call it a travesty. And that's why it's important for us to begin to live with an understanding of the value of living with a knowledge that this universe was put here by God. It changes the way we look at everything. It gives us dignity. It gives us a focus on what we're supposed to be focusing on in life. What is it that makes me unique? What a celebration of life when we know who we are and what we were designed for, and we start living up to it. We should recognize our privilege, and we should recognize it as a badge of duty.